The buses keep coming, filled with faces etched with fear and uncertainty. These mass deportations, they say, are about upholding the law, about protecting our borders. But as I watch them go, I can't help but feel a sense of possibility. A new dawn for Black communities, long relegated to the shadows? It's a question that weighs heavy on my soul. For generations, we've been told to climb the ladder of opportunity. Work hard, play by the rules, and you too can achieve the American dream. But what happens when the rungs of that ladder are broken, or constantly being sabotaged as we try to work our way up? When the path to progress is blocked at every turn, the influx of migrants, legal or otherwise, has strained our resources, our communities, our very way of life. Now, with the tide turning, there's a glimmer of hope. A chance to reclaim what was always promised but never fully delivered. Jobs, housing, a seat at the table. These are the things that have long been out of reach for far too many Black Americans. Is it wrong to see an opportunity in the midst of another's misfortune? Perhaps. But it's a question we must grapple with, honestly and without reservation. Across this nation, from bustling cities to rural towns, a quiet transformation is taking place. Apartments that were once occupied now stand vacant. Jobs that were once filled by those willing to work for less are opening up. This isn't about hate, as some would have you believe. It's about survival. The influx of undocumented workers has depressed wages and made it nearly impossible for Black Americans to compete. Construction sites, restaurants, landscaping crews, industries that once provided a pathway to the middle class are now dominated by those willing to work for a fraction of the cost. The stories are heartbreaking. Fathers unable to put food on the table. Mothers working 2, sometimes 3 jobs just to make ends meet. Young men and women robbed of the chance to build a future. This is the reality of unchecked immigration, a reality that has had a devastating impact on Black communities. The time for empty promises is over. The time for action is now. We are a nation of compassion, yes, but we are also a nation of laws. And for too long, we have turned a blind eye to the strain that illegal immigration has placed on our social safety net. Schools overcrowded, hospitals overwhelmed, welfare rolls stretched thin. These are the very real consequences of a broken system. While our communities struggle to provide for their own, we see migrants receiving government assistance, healthcare, and education, often without contributing their fair share. This isn't about demonizing anyone. It's about asking a simple question. When is enough enough? The narrative is always the same. They're just trying to build a better life. And while that may be true, it cannot come at the expense of those who have played by the rules, who have paid their dues, who have built this country with their blood, sweat, and tears. AKA foundational Black Americans. We cannot continue to prioritize the needs of newcomers over the needs of our own citizens, especially when those citizens have been historically marginalized and disadvantaged. Section 4. A Tale of Two Struggles. Where was this compassion when crack cocaine ravaged our communities? Where was this outrage when Black men were being locked up in record numbers, their lives destroyed by a system designed to keep them down? The silence was deafening then. Now we are told to open our hearts, to embrace those who have crossed our borders illegally. We are told that to do otherwise is to be un-American, to betray the very values this nation was founded upon. But I ask you, where was this empathy when our communities were being torn apart? Where was all of these other groups? When Black people was and still is dealing with mass incarceration, where was all of this sympathy? When we were dealing with the crack era epidemic, perfect example when PC people are dealing with the opioid epidemic. It's being called the crisis and that they need help. But when Black people was addicted to narcotics, we got told we need to be locked up in prison and that we were super predators. The truth is, Black Americans know all too well what it means to be ignored, to be forgotten, to be cast aside. We know the sting of injustice, the weight of discrimination, the pain of being told that your life doesn't matter. And now, these other races of people want Black people to stand up and defend them, but they were quiet when we were going through our issues. In fact, they joined against us a lot of times. So forgive us if we are not quick to shed tears for those who have broken our laws, while our own wounds remain unhealed. All these other groups need to pull themselves by their bootstraps. Isn't that what they tell us? So with this deportation issue, maybe some jobs in housing will open up for some Black Americans. Section 5. The Price of Justice. I have family members that are Panamanian. They came to this country through legal means. They waited their turn, followed the rules, and built a life for themselves and their children. They didn't cut corners or circumvent the system. They embraced the ideals of hard work, perseverance, and the pursuit of the American dream. This isn't about closing our borders or turning our backs on those in need. It's about demanding fairness for everyone. It's about ensuring that the same laws apply to all, regardless of where you come from or the color of your skin. Mass deportations, while a complex and sensitive issue, offer a chance for reflection, a chance to examine our priorities, to address the systemic inequities that plague our nation, and to finally fulfill the promise of equal opportunity for all. The path forward will not be easy, but it must begin with honesty and a commitment to do right by the Black people who pretty much built this country.